In this recording, I'm going to be going over with you guys a presentation for the parts of speech. The reason that we're going over this is because the parts of speech are the foundation for all of writing. And each week in the literature that we're reading or the informational text that we're reading, we will be having a mentor sentence. So that will be a sentence that is pulled from the text that we are studying that week. And one of the first things that we'll do as we analyze that sentence and look at it from different lenses is we will label the parts of speech. So for this presentation, you need your guided notes so you can fill those out. The first part of speech that we're going to go over is a noun. This would be a person, place, thing, or idea. Some examples are listed here, so you can see some of those. And do you know that there are different types of nouns, like common, proper, concrete, abstract? So there are going to be different kinds within that, but basically you're looking for a person, place, thing, or idea. These are going to function as the subject of your sentence. So the subject of the sentence, that's the part that does the action of the sentence. It's going to almost always be a noun. But just because you have a noun in the sentence, that doesn't mean that that's necessarily the subject. So like if you look at this one, my dog ate 2 dishes of food for lunch. You've got several nouns in the sentence, but the subject is who did the eating, and that's the dog. You can see the other nouns listed there. Pronouns are going to be noun replacers, so they're going to take the place of nouns. So you will have nouns, and instead of those nouns, you will replace it with other words. Those are going to take the place. So like how instead of us talking about ourselves using our first names, we replace it with a pronoun I. So we use the pronoun I instead. Here are some examples of some personal pronouns that we use most often. And then also a list of indefinite pronouns that we will study later. And with the indefinite pronouns, we're going to get into like which ones we use for singular, if there's one, which ones we use for plural, if it's more than one, and also pronoun agreement. So those are things that we're going to be talking about later when we read and study about subject-verb agreement. The next one are verbs. These are going to show action or a state of being. Those state of being verbs are called linking verbs. So in a sentence, when you're thinking about the parts of the sentence, how we talked about the subject as a noun or a pronoun, the action of the sentence, like what the subject is doing, is the verb. And here are some examples. And the most common linking verbs that you have will be like am, is, are, was, were. As a matter of fact, if you're trying to test a verb to see if it's action or linking, if you can replace am, is, are, was, were, which are forms of be, in that blank, and it would make sense, then it's most likely going to be a linking verb. The next one that we're going to talk about are conjunctions. These connect words or ideas. So here you can see your fanboys. These are your coordinating conjunctions, and these connect independent clauses. These can also be used for like items in a series. So when you're listing like this, this, and this. You can also have conjunctions that are not coordinating. The coordinating ones were the fanboys. You can also have the subordinating conjunctions. And I will give you guys an acronym. It is called ADVERBS to give you the most commonly used, the subordinating conjunctions. So I will give you guys a list of those as well. These are some of the subordinating conjunctions. Like because, since. In that acronym, ADVERBS, you will have some of these other ones like when, while, although those will be in that list that I will give you. Adjectives describe or modify nouns. So in this one, the young, girl, uncomfortable, and messy notebook. And these are going to answer the questions, which one, what kind, how many, or how much. And they're going to describe or modify a noun. Here are some other examples. Adverbs, just like they have the word verb in there, they are going to modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs. A lot of times they do end in ly, but not always. So you're going to look for words that modify verbs, adjectives, or adverbs, and they answer the questions when, where, why, or how. A lot of times these do end in ly. Prepositions. These are words that show the relationship of a noun or a pronoun. So a noun or a pronoun is going to follow the preposition in something called a prepositional phrase to some other word in the sentence. So here are some examples, like around, behind, with. And a prepositional phrase is going to begin with the preposition and it's going to end with a noun, or it could also end with the pronoun. Prepositional phrases can tell us like where something is, like placement or locations. Oftentimes prepositions give us information about placement or locations. Sometimes there can be adjectives or adverbs in between. And then in a prepositional phrase, the object is going to be the noun or pronoun that follows that preposition. So like in these, the prepositions are above, on, after, from, along, and during. But the objects of the preposition are the nouns or pronouns that follow. So like if you said above it, the object of the preposition would be a pronoun instead of the noun TV. Be careful with prepositional phrases because if there is a verb between the preposition and its object, it's not a prepositional phrase. So like the prepositional phrase here, like after the game, telling us when something happens, it's just the preposition and then the noun, game. But the word after can also be a conjunction. So in this sentence, after we won the game, because after the conjunction, there is a noun and a verb in there because it has the noun and the verb. It has a subject and a verb, even though it can't stand alone. This is going to be a subordinate clause. So in this sentence, after is a conjunction. So we will be talking about that this semester. Some prepositions can be confused with subordinating conjunctions, like I just explained. Interjections is the last one. These are going to show like strong feeling or strong emotion. They're going to occur at the beginning of sentences, and they're going to be separated with an exclamation mark or a comma. And then here are some practice ones that you can label on your own. And I want you to try these, so you can just put these in your notes. Also make sure that you fill out your notes for your parts of speech with examples. So you put some of your own examples in your note-taking guide. But what I want you to do is try these examples on your own paper. So you would just write the sentence, and then above it, just label the part of speech. You can abbreviate like noun by putting in, preposition by putting prep, adjective, ADJ. So you can put some abbreviations in there, and once we start doing our weekly warm-up with the parts of speech, you will get to be more familiar with those abbreviations.